welcome to Ed Up. It's all about what's trending in education. COVID-19 has altered life in so many ways, but one thing's for sure, it has not changed our country's focus on education. This month in particular, the Ministry of Education's calendar is filled with student-centered activities which cover almost every area of the curriculum. For example, I'll just name a few. We have Natural Sciences Month, we have Agricultural Sciences Month, Bahamian History Month, we also have Modern Languages Week, and the list, believe me, goes on and on. We're also celebrating Commonwealth Day, which is celebrated annually the second Monday in March. Now, we're now in full gear in preparation for one of the most anticipated events of the year, which takes place this month. That's the Bahamas National Spelling Bee Competition. And today we're going to chat with the coordinator of that event. So we have a great show lined up for you today, and we'll start with the question of the day, BGCSE Biology. Our team took to the streets and we searched for the answer. Which is the scientific name for the queen conch? Is it A, Homo sapiens, B, Rhizophora mango, C, Strombus gigas, or D, Z. mays?
I'll go with C. C is Strombus gigas.
C. Strombus gigas.
Strombus gigas.
C. Strombus gigas.
C. Strombus gigas.
D. Z. mays.
C.
Say the answer.
I know what the word is. I can't pronounce it. I can't pronounce size. Size is Strombus or something.
C. Strombus gigas. A. Homo sapiens.
C. Strombus gigas.
Did you get the correct answer, or should I ask, did you pronounce the correct answer? The answer is C, Strombus gigas. Stay with us. Up next, we feature special people in education. Think about the people throughout your lifetime who have impacted you. I'm sure if you think about it, at least one teacher will be on that list, or maybe two or three. Today we're going to feature two excellent teachers who are definitely making an impact at the R.M. Bailey Senior High School. Their names are Mrs. Glendina Woodside and Mr. Sidney Sawyer. Take a look.
Okay, Mr. Sawyer is in the School of Social Science. He teaches social studies, history, geography, and civics. He is a novice teacher with 2 years at R.M. Bailey Senior High School.
Miss Glendina Woodside is the subject coordinator for the Language Arts Department. She is also one of the leaders for the debate team, the Interact Club, Key Club, and even leading classes for credit recovery and language.
If you see him, he's so unassuming. But when he opens his mouth, you're taken aback because he is outgoing. The students love him. He's like a role model, like a brother. If you need help, the teachers know that he is the person to go to, especially when it comes to technology. He's also very kind. He's a Christian young man, so he's kind and he's very generous.
Miss Woodside is a genuinely kind-hearted person, very hardworking. When others see the glass half empty, Miss Woodside would push and see the glass half full. And so she encourages her team, her students, to look at everything positively. Miss Woodside, she has a desire to see her students grow holistically. Many of us are used to the regular homeroom time, okay? The prayer, the scripture, some announcements. For Miss Woodside, no, it has to be a meaningful experience. And so when the rest of the teachers would be having homeroom time at 8:50. Miss Woodside students virtually come online at 8:30. And her homeroom days have names, from Motivational Monday, when they would have watch motivational, inspirational videos, to Talk About It Tuesday, when she would always invite a speaker to talk about something about the environment, career, college, graduation. Wellness Wednesday, talking about stress and drinking more water, okay? Thankful Thursday, where students have to take time to give thanks for something, and Freedom Friday, where they are given a topic and they have to talk anything about themselves on that topic. And so she's a very hardworking person, and she has a mindset team-centered. It's all about the team. This today, for her, represents the team, and that is what sets her apart.
Mr. Sawyer is a very involved teacher. Whenever there's activity at the R.M. Bailey campus, he is in the center of it. He is a part of the prefect committee. He also works with the student council movement. He is the chair for the debate team. The debate team, where they're now the Southern New Providence District winners, and they're now practicing for the national debate, and I'm sure that they will be victorious. He also took part in an essay recently with the fraternity, and his team captured first, second, and third place in that competition. Also, with training of the teachers, when it comes to the virtual platform, he is our trainer on campus, and so it was his responsibility to bring all of the more seasoned teachers or the teachers who didn't have the technological capacity to bring them up to the standard that they need so that they would be able to perform their duties on the virtual platform. He is not a novice teacher in his operations. What is customary when you have a new teacher coming into the system, we would usually pair them with a more experienced teacher because we try to mold them into the type of individual that we want him to be. But sometimes, in education, we get these rare jewels, and they come in almost perfected with the right attitudes and the skills, the technology, everything in place. And so when these people come to the school, you just let them fly. They need some guidelines, but you just let them fly. You let them do what they need to do, and they make your institution great.
Hi, and welcome back to our chat segment. I am so delighted today to have with me the coordinator of the National Spelling Bee, Mrs. Celestina Williams. It's so good to have you joining us, Mrs. Williams.
Thank you for having me.
Mrs. Williams, I know you're in full gear preparing for the National Spelling Bee, and there have been a lot of changes this year. So first thing, when is the Spelling Bee taking place this year?
This year's Spelling Bee competition will be held on Sunday, March 21st, 2021.
Okay, that's just in a few weeks' time.
Yes, it is.
And what format will it take this year? Because, due to COVID-19, we've had some changes. A lot of things now are executed virtually. So what format is the Spelling Bee going to take this year?
It's going to be a face-to-face competition, but it's going to be closed to the public. Only the officials will be there, the contestants and their coaches.
Wow, not even mom and dad who wants to cheer their children on?
No, I'm sorry, they won't be able to attend. It's only going to be open to the contestants, their coaches, and the judging panel.
It's interesting that students were preparing through the pandemic. So tell us, how were students preparing? How were schools preparing? Because I know we're so used to that face-to-face interaction and getting them together and doing rounds of competition together. So what went into preparation for the Spelling Bee this year?
It required a lot of innovation on the part of the coaches, but they were able to pull it off by having their meetings via various social media. So that is how it had to be done, in the same way that there was virtual schooling. Well, the meetings and the clubs, the Spelling Bee clubs, were held virtually.
Would our defending champion be back this year, Mr. Roy Seligman? I mean, he is just phenomenal. 2 consecutive years he took the competition. Do we expect to see his face again?
Yes, Roy will be back, and we can also expect to see some other contestants who made it to the finals last year. We can expect to see Maria Sanchez. She will be there as well. And then we are expecting some newcomers. So it's going to be an interesting competition.
It sure is. So it sounds like competition is going to be stiff this year.
It's going to be interesting indeed.
And do you see a good mix of public-private?
Yes, there is. There is an excellent blend of students coming from our Family of Islands, as I said, 9 of those. And then we have also our students coming from the BAISS, the associate schools, the Catholic Board of Education, and of course our public schools.
And with winning competitions, there are rewards. So what will our winner and winners walk away with this year?
Well, as usual, they will get cash prizes, and our #1 winner, our top winner, he will receive, or she will receive, a computer, a laptop computer from Customs Computer.
Last year's National Spelling Bee competition in Washington was canceled, and our students, our participants, this is what they're looking forward to. This is where they've arrived. So what's happening this year?
Well, Scripps International has made some changes. This year, the preliminary rounds, which is the quarterfinals and the semifinals, will be held virtually. And those numbers will be reduced. That's the spellers will be reduced to 10 to 12 spellers. And the final competition will be held on July 8th in Orlando, Florida.
Okay, and that competition, is that going to be virtually? How is that going to be done?
That is going to be face-to-face.
Okay, and I'm sure they're going to have their restrictions on how that's
Most
executed as
definitely.
well.
Most definitely.
Okay, good. So I'm sure our students are looking forward to that. Now, as we wrap up, how important are such competitions, spelling bee competitions, and competitions like these for students' development?
Well, spelling bee is very important to the communication and literary skills of our students. Not only does it build their vocabulary, but it makes them a more confident and a more competent writer and speaker. And needless to say that these skills carry on into their tertiary level as well as their future employment.
Yes, and on that note, Mrs. Williams, I am just so excited. I am really anticipating this year's competition and to see the ingenuity of our students as well as our teachers, because like you said, you had to be innovative this year in order for anything to continue, anything to progress. So I'm very excited about this year's competition and to see our students perform. So thank you so much for joining us, for joining our chat segment, and I wish you and your team, this year's participants, the best of luck.
And thank you for having us.
Here are today's fun facts. Fact 1. Only 5% of the ocean has been explored. The ocean covers some 70% of the Earth's surface, and it is understandably much harder to explore than land. As much of 20% of the ocean floor has now been mapped, thanks to advancements in sonar technologies. Speaking of technology, one reason we have explored so little of the ocean is that we only developed the technology for doing so within the last 100 years. Fact 2. A small child could swim through the veins of a blue whale. We all know that blue whales are absolutely huge, but this puts it into a whole new perspective. The largest animals on the planet, blue whales, can grow as large as 100 feet. That's 30 meters long and weigh up to 150 tons. Their hearts are obviously huge too, about the same size as a small car. This makes it no small surprise that a small child of 3 or 4 could swim with ease through a blue whale's massive veins. Wow! Fact 3. Pigs are very smart animals. Yes, pigs. They roll around in muck and filth, eat any scraps left around for them, and they are frankly quite delicious. That's not all. As it turns out, they're incredibly intelligent. They have in some cases been found to be smarter than dogs. They can solve puzzles better than chimpanzees, and they have some of the best long-term memories known in animals. Pigs are considered to be the world's 5th smartest animal. That concludes our Fun Facts segment. Today's student in the spotlight is a 6th grader at E.P. Roberts Primary School. Her name, Sky Frith.
My first encounter with Sky was in 2016. She was not in my classroom, but the name just stood out from she came into E.P. Roberts Primary School. Always on top of her class, always shining in academics, as well as parental involvement was really, really high, so Sky always stood out. And I would have gotten her about 2 years ago in 4th grade. She came into my class, so I was able to have a personal relationship now with Sky Frith. And when she got into my class, bubbly little girl, always smiling, laughing, just very energetic, but very humble and quiet at the same time. She was reserved, and it was just so weird because she was reserved and outgoing at the same time, just an awesome student. And I always said, if I can have about 10 Skies, I'd be good to go. She entered a competition which is the poetry competition. And she was like, oh, I think I could do it. I said, Sky, I'm sure you're going to do good. And it was with 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And at the end of that competition, so her poem made it. And she had to do a video, and that was even pushing. She's like, I think. And then when Sky, she came on top, and she was able to have that nice little yellow jacket and wore that. And she was definitely proud of herself. So that's the type of person, Sky, she's just, whatever, she's into it. She's excellent in everything, and she just continued to excel. She's a part of several clubs that I'm involved with. So we started an ACES program, which is an honor society program, a part of EP Roberts Primary School. So that program was designed for students in grade 3, 4, 5, and 6. So those top students, and just to kind of get them some scholarships and etc. as they get into, when they get into 6th grade, to kind of follow them through and just to give them a little starter for junior school. So she would have been one of those students who were part of that ACES program, and they had to do different voluntary programs, etc. And I would have accompanied her on several of those, where there would have been Kiwanis Club K-Kids. So we have a K-Kids as well. And right there with her, we had a girls club, girls leadership club, and right there with her. So even though I'm not currently her teacher, the involvement is always there with her. One thing definitely this year, that, because this year was crazy all over, and the students coming on to virtual school was a struggle, whether it was technology, not having the supplies that they needed, internet access, etc. So Sky developed, she came out on her own. She's with her classmates, about 32 students, I think, is in her class currently. And she realized that some of the students weren't getting the work, or they weren't coming on, but they probably had a cell phone or something that they would get WhatsApp messages. Sky decided to develop her own WhatsApp group. And this WhatsApp group, in the Talk Foolishness, is strictly for work purposes. So she gathered as many numbers as she could have gotten, and she would send out the work, and they would send it back to the teacher. So even though they weren't physically in class on a face-to-face or even a virtual setting, that work was still getting to the teacher because of what she did, and she made sure they got the notes. And so she really was a trendsetter in that, and her classmates, they have benefited from it drastically, and that's something that I haven't seen any child do. And she took it on and she ran with it because her classmates are important to her.
Here are a few of MOE's calendar highlights for the month of March. For more information on these events and others, visit the ministry's website at ministryofelucationbahamas.com. Well, that'll do it for today's show. Thank you so much for staying with us. For Red Up, I'm Adama Williams.